Should we be worried that so many people are actually advocating for fascism nowadays? The amount of people I've seen actually defend Hitler is crazy to me. Is it a sign of something bad on the way for American politics? Nazis and those accepting Nazis didn't magically appear in Germany when Hitler did, and they didn't all magically disappear when Germany lost the war and went on to build a thriving democracy. With these very same people, you should be very scared of what people allow to happen. Yes. Be worried, then be angry, then get organized and get out the vote. Yes. It's a great time to be worried about the future of the USA. The funniest ones are the ones who low-key identify with being a Nazi and start to act like a victim when you say something negative about Nazis. They never disappeared. They just became more open and found a new generation to recruit. Same with race realists and white supremacists. Yes. History is repeating itself. Yes. It is a sign of something bad on the way for American politics. I'm totally embarrassed to be an American these days. Be worried that God's people and their leaders will help kill everyone on earth for God's something dark side. All in the name of God. Do we do nothing but murder each other? Now it's Israel's turn to keep murdering children, creating even more terrorists. Morons. All sides. If your God calls for the killing of another, do so. In fact, start with yourself. Especially since they have a plan to enact that fascism. Yes. Radical alt-right ideology has become very ingrained in mainstream conservatism nowadays and won't just die off with the boomer generation. We're going to see some really crazy stuff in the next decade or so that will likely change the governmental structure of this country forever. Yes. We should be worried. Only if we don't organize and fight back. I'm worried. Then he made his vermin speech and now I'm a bit beyond worried. Not worried, actively opposing. At least the mask is off. With great freedoms comes grave responsibility. Voting conscientiously is the easiest way to avoid a complete takeover by fascist interests. The flooding of the internet with disinformation is to hide the truth. The misinformed need to realize they're simply pawns. Check sources. Every time I check a trusted faux news source, it's almost some wingnut with an agenda. We should be more worried about the politicians supporting it. It's also scary that some don't even know they are advocating for it. The biggest problem is that there is an unhealthy amount of people who don't know what fascism is. They are quick to call assholes racists when they're not being racist. They are quick to call assholes fascists when they're not being fascist. They are quick to call assholes bigots when they're not being bigoted. They are quick to call assholes misogynists when they're not being misogynists. Sometimes people are just assholes. They are dirtbag, douchebag, scumbag assholes. But they're not whatever label you'd like them to be, just because it makes them sound worse. Definitions matter. Yes. We should worry, not because they will ever succeed, but because these impressionable idiot minds exist in the first place. So many loners that want to belong to something. Most of them blaming someone else for all of life's woes. Suddenly tactical gear and a large rifle and a mask to hide his scared face so he doesn't get fired. After being exposed on the internet. And he is part of something bigger. Something pitiful and pathetic, but bigger. Yes. Be very worried. Could you explain what you mean by advocating for fascism? So much gets called fascism in the US. There's only a handful of groups I'd say meet that criteria. The biggest danger is believing it's only coming from white right-wingers. and believing that when it's coming from POC or Muslims somehow it can be worked out if their poverty or grievances are addressed. Plenty of people of all demographics are poor. Plenty of people of all demographics have legitimate grievances that are not addressed to their satisfaction. Plenty of people live with injustices that make them bitter and angry. It's only some demographics where we give these things a license to be terrorists or commit hate crimes. Yes. America's fascist future will be built on a foundation of anti-democracy overtly built in the present. Yes. Fucking yes. Yes. Maybe. The number of people defending tyrants and mass murderers is crazy. I'd be as worried as them as I would be about the amount of communists out there. Authoritarianism is bad no matter the flavor. Yes. The extremist minority can overthrow even the United States government. Just like any other countries. Yes, and we have to make sure we don't fall down the hole of losing the actual meaning of fascism by using it spuriously. Of course you need to be worried and go out and vote every single last GQP candidate on any level out of office. And keep on doing that at every single future election. If you don't, you might find there's no more elections as one of them just became a dictator who got tired of possibly losing elections. Vote. In the end, the one thing everyone owes their future to is the vote. It's worth dying for. Your opinions online mean squat if you don't vote. Voting in free, fair and transparent elections is the only real political voice most of us will ever have. Use it. Every 2 years use vote. Vote. You mean like the Hitler did nothing wrong trolls? I don't know anybody seriously defending Hitler. I worry more about fans of Stalin, Mao, Guevara and Castro who think a communist dictatorship would be just peachy. Yeah, if you recall, the brownshirts would go to universities and shout down any speaker or teacher that they didn't agree with. Instead of engaging in dialogue, they'd consider it a win if they had to stop speaking. More recently, I've seen people with Nazi flags advocating for ethnic genocide. Wait, where have I seen that? I don't know where you're living, but I have never in my life seen someone defend Hitler. All these pro-Hamas demonstrations lately come dangerously close, but not actually defending Hitler. Can you link to people defending Hitler? That's a new one for me. If you're talking about seeing that on social media, remember social media isn't real. Yes. Yes. Yay. Yes. Very worried. Yes. This will lead to actual fascism if not stopped. You mean like some of the Democrats spewing anti-Semitism? Someone fill me in on what fascism people are advocating for. I'm not sure I've seen any, but I have seen tons of people advocating for Marxism and communism. Openly. Unfortunately, it seems inevitable that governments eventually descend into fascism. Yes, be worried because it's going to happen. The worst part is, the Nazis were only defeated because the Western world was able to dogpile on them, remove them from power, and rebuild German democracy. When fascism takes the USA, there will be no alliance in the world powerful enough to stop it. The country will have to completely collapse for there to even be a chance. While we're waiting for that, both Russia and China will be riding roughshod without anyone to keep them in check. It will become a very dark time for the entire human race. Yes. I don't understand it. I don't know what other people's experiences in life were like. But I remember learning about the horrors of WW2 and the rise of fascism. Anyone who declares themselves as or identifies with fascism can't be considered American to me. They need to have their eyelids taped open and forced to watch Schindler's List or actual footage of concentration camps. The ignorance in the world today is just heartbreaking. Y'all need to touch grass.